Actually, that worked out okay. Let's unmute you. Yeah, that works out well enough. Maybe like a
Awesome.
slight little nudge, perhaps.
Well, boy howdy, what's up everybody?
That was the wrong one. Oh, whoopsie. There we are. Yeah. What's up, everybody? Oh, they did the vetoes. Well, great. So we're actually all ready to go as we go live, which is awesome. But before we actually get into the game, which I still have to make, why is Underground's being chosen? I don't understand this. Whatever, it's ZvZ.
Well, I'll explain myself a little bit here while you fiddle, because I do want to talk a little bit what happened yesterday too, as we just kind of warm up the stream for the first best of three. You guys will notice I'm not in my regular setup. It's a very big and very empty room. This is actually sadly not going to be the casting area. I wish I had a place this big. This is like the living room area, but because I'm the only one here right now and my roommate doesn't move in for like another week and a half, I'm just kind of plopped down in the middle. I'm really not set up. I went to Walmart and I bought like a fucking $10 chair to sit on. Like, this is super ghetto, but on account of the fact that I was traveling so much yesterday, and for those who didn't see the tweets, you should check them out. It got some good pictures of the Corsair stuff at their offices. But yeah, it was a very fun, very productive day, but it was more traveling than it was not traveling. I woke up at 4:50 a.m. and at that point, I didn't get to California till about noon. No, not even, like 12:30. I spent, I think, 4 hours at the Corsair offices and then didn't get home till midnight. It was a really long day, but I can say lots of positive things came out of the visit, and the TING Season 3 finals, I think, is going to have a phenomenal offline finals. I think it's going to be really good. But yeah, so I've set things up a little bit janky. Hopefully the quality will be good and all this. I mean, I'm still observing off my laptop. But man, did you see the tweet I made this morning?
No. What?
I was going through replays to like test if I had Game Heart on, and I realized the last time I cast on this laptop was January like 2016. So it was like the Archon mode tournament with like Hearthstone and Chubbs and Elazer and Lambo, and I was just like, damn, this takes me back. Rip Archon mode.
That is a long time ago.
Yeah. But anyways, so today's Ting group, I'm going to say this really quick. You guys are the... If you're tuned in already, I'm assuming you've got a heart of goddamn gold. You're dedicated to the channel and you're here early. I thank you for tuning in. But we're going to need your help today. Because as we've been doing for the last 2 seasons, we have some in-stream video ads that we're going to need to run on Ting's behalf. So when we have people come in and they start complaining, what but I have ad block on? Or like, why am I getting these ads? Just help us out. Give them some sarcasm, my privilege, or whatever you got to do. Because I think that these ads are actually very, very short, concise, and tolerable compared to some of the other ones I've seen online. And I personally have no problem running the Ting ads. But of course, it's not me running them today. Quick shout outs and props go to Zombie Rub. She's kind of running the show today on account of the fact that I'm still stuck down here. But I will be home tomorrow, and I probably won't be fully moved in here for like another week or so still. So this just ended up being a nice way to deal with the intense snowstorms and crazy travel plans I had to accommodate.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure why the subscriber isn't updating, as the event list is updating perfectly fine, but maybe it'll just magic itself later.
Restart the session, maybe? I don't know. I by the way I didn't use this computer till just now, right when we started getting set up. So I've been on this thing for 30 minutes, and I hate not having a second monitor so badly. Yeah. I have Twitch chat set up on my iPad, which is sitting to my left, but that's like, it's like text for ants. It's like I can't even read it. It's so fucking tiny. Like, ah.
It is pretty tiny. Like I said, maybe it'll magic up later. Maybe it'll fool around with it. Maybe the scene change will fix it. Who knows? But thank you for subbing. I think we had a new sub while we were just coming up live. So circa 13. Thank you very much. We're kind of ready to go. So I'm just going to ask the players, and then we'll do the whole extra spiel, I suppose, as we get into the game. And they are both ready.
Yeah, so first matchup's going to be a ZvZ.
That's true. By the way, guys, if there's any audio problems, let me know. This is what I was using when I was casting with Maynard, and Maynard's like probably a little bit louder, so I try to compensate for that. And Rifkin, if you have any like comments about Rifkin's mic, it's a little more hollow than normal because he literally has nothing in the room around him. So that's how sound works, but it's really not that bad. Oh, that was bad. Everyone saw that, Bly. I just want you to know, or yeah, Bly.
Oh, I'm using such an old version of GameHeart. It has the little question mark. You remember there's like that floating question mark on the side?
Oh yeah, wow, that is a really old one.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
gonna have to get you to send me the new one while we're between games or something. But folks, welcome to the Ting Open. Zombie Grub, kick off these intros.
Ooh, we actually have a new sub kicking off the intro, so thank you to BG Ween Wine, whatever, for the new sub. And here we go, in the top left, as the orange Zerg, he is Bly.
Repping that team expert color very well. Bottom right's going to be his opponent. This guy made it probably further than most when it comes to foreigners in BlizzCon of last year. He's an absolutely fantastic Zerg player. In the bottom right, we've got the blue Elazer. Now, Elazer's actually got a bit of a funny ZvZ story to him, though, right? Because this is a guy who can knock out Snoot, take on Nurchio, probably beat Bly, but he lost the qualifying match in the winner's bracket to Denver, of all people.
To Denver? Oh my, yeah, actually.
And I guess I don't want to like take away from Denver. He's not a bad player, but Denver is not the player you would expect to beat Elazer 2-0 in a ZvZ when you watch how good he is against other players. So there is this little aspect of it for me is like, how good is Elazer at ZvZ versus how good is Elazer at ZvZ against a very specific set of players?
Actually, I probably should have had the qualifier up on another monitor, because I could do that. As I don't remember what each of their line was to qualification, but it was the European bracket, so guaranteed, like every other Zerg that we're ever going to see in Europe was probably on that qualifier. And Elazer was, I think, like, he beat out Snoot, and maybe it was Nurchio, not Bly, to get to that very finals, then he got to beat out by Denver. But I think Elazer made it through the losers bracket anyway.
Yeah, Elazer defeated Snoot in the winner's bracket, and he had to play out the loser's bracket. I got it open because I can do that thing. Bly, though, had a very interesting run because he didn't actually, this is worth noting, Bly's not one of the players who qualified through. He's one of the guys we invited back due to his like performance and diligence in both qualifiers.
Exactly, yeah. This guy will play in most things, and of course we love having him around. He creates some pretty fun games. ZvZ usually pretty aggressive, but no one starting off with any early pools. They did scout that they were cross-spawn pretty, well, earlier than any other race would, right? Because their overlords scouted the lack of overlords of their opponents. On ZvZ for you. But Bly actually tried to split his lings. Still has more lings on the other side to deal with the lasers. And their speed's really close together. So it's not like I'm getting an advantage there. But the Baneliness is so much faster for a laser.
Yeah, and if he gets even just one or two of them out, they can stop any amount of lings given the right hits and good circumstances. But Bly actually not exactly pushing across the map with this. He does pull back with his lings.
Yeah, he made a lot, though. I mean, it's not... Elazer wouldn't like not expect this, but I think he's okay with it.
So both go for thirds, but I want to talk about Elazer's third, because this is really unconventional and weird to me. Bly just kind of, well, maybe not taking it? I'm okay, I don't know what that drone's about. But Elazer takes his third really far out here. And I guess the concern is that you don't really have... There's no SimCity for Zerg, so you don't have to worry about that, I guess. And with your third just being taken down there, it's spreading more creep. So I can see certain pluses to it, but it just feels exposed.
Yeah, I get what you mean. We actually, I don't think we've seen a ZvZ on this map yet. I mean, first of all, Undergrounds is kind of a tough map for Zerg in general. Like, they're not the ones that are going to be choosing it, I would think, when it comes to other matchups, but also just coincidentally not in the qualifiers we saw. But, I don't know. Maybe this will be the norm. Maybe it'll be super weird. I definitely think that taking the natural at these outside expansions is the way to go, and that's what they both did. Bly does not have a Baneliness. He's actually been playing, I want to say, like, he has one of the guys playing without a Baneliness a lot more often, just trying to go quickly into those roaches. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You have to be able to defend without Banelings against someone who does have Banelings. No
well, the first two were taken care of really nicely by the Queens, but even just one still standing is scary. Gets a pretty nice hit there, too.
Yeah, that was a pretty nice hit. Those two Queens were so close to having Transfuse energy, I think, but just barely short of it. Elazer is continuing to reinforce, and he does have that third base now to add on the larva, whereas Bly is still waiting a little while longer. I think Elazer realizes, well, I mean, first of all, you kind of know how Bly plays. I think these guys are playing each other all the time on ladder. So these quick roaches might not be too big of a surprise for Elazer, but if he is unable to do any damage, and he will just get out-teched, basically. But he's the one with a much faster layer, and he could be thinking about Aspire.
That's definitely a possibility. Well, we have the continued scuffle here in the middle of the map. Just reminding people, too, by the way, that this is only a best of 3. We didn't really go over that too much, but we did change formats as some of the patch games and the last 3 patches have shown to specify, so it might not be too viable time-wise, but with a full ZvZ group, that we'll see what has to be said. I guess almost full ZvZ group. Excuse me, Optimus is here representing Terran.
Yeah, almost.
Good luck, soldier.
Santhras60 for the 19-month resub. It looks like the Ling Wars have been done with, over and done with. No one really upgraded their Lings either, so they could make 20 Lings later on and try and get thirds.
I'm really worried for Bly through this. Like, okay, he didn't take immense worker losses, but he hasn't built many workers. It took him so long to get his own third, so Elazer's up almost 20 workers with a third base. Wow. Yeah, right. Bly's army's not looking too bad now. Give Elazer a few minutes, though, and he's going to have more than enough money to match this. So if Bly goes now, he might find a bit of a timing, but I definitely know that if he waits too long, he'll lose out on the economy game.
Well, that's certainly true, but Bly is just pumping a lot of units into army units, and unfortunately a little bit supply blocked at a pretty crucial point. The Banelings are stalled out, though. They almost got a good hit at Bly's natural. That was kind of lucky with the Queen also being there. But 10 more drones as Bly moves across the map. Now, Elazer, he's going to have enough roaches, I think. But the big problem for Bly is that Elazer will also have roach speed to do a counterattack pretty immediately. And that's actually a really big problem if Bly overcommits here. It looks like he's not going to commit, though. Just more of a couple of Ravagers and is going to go on back home.
So, since I'm at my computer, and using the one that has the Partouf bot on it, by the way, I can set bets. Nice.
Good deal. Don't need mods at all.
Yeah, who needs mods? Scouted. Get out of here.
There's, of course, a lot of opportunities for scouting on this map, especially as a Zerg player. Your Overlords can be every which way, of course, which is the norm, but also a bunch of Xel'Nagas that can be taken. If you're eager enough anyway, constantly fighting over it with Lings. A lot of Overlord deaths in this game too, pretty early on, just to Queens, really. I think Elazer's lost 2 to just Queens, and Bly maybe has also lost 2. Now going down to Corsair Gear makes a lot more sense, but while Bly did buy enough time to get to his own roach speed and didn't overcommit with his roaches, he's being a little too greedy now, and is going for, of course, his roach speed, which he does need, but also drones and Aspire. Where Elazer has already got his drones for some time and a much bigger army supply and Aspire too, so this is just Elazer's game. GG.
Well, I mean, for me, it was just so clear, like, Bly, forget the fact that he took any damage or not, right? There was this weird gap where he went for a third and just made 7 drones, or I think it was 4 drones instead. And his drone was just sitting there at the inside natural base. And I'm just kind of sitting there like, what prompted this? What's going on here? Is this just like a bit of like misstepping? Like, I'm not sure what's happening.
That was definitely a game of... there was no like huge hits that was like, oh, well, that's why Bly lost the game. Bly really kind of got out... Macroed isn't quite the right term, because people like a macro, they think of like hitting their injects and using their larva. Sure, he got supply blocked once or twice, and that is a pretty big deal, but it was also just kind of getting out, like not following the pace of the ZvZ, which he's usually pretty good at. ZvZ can be really difficult because when you're attacking, you maybe should be droning, or maybe you can continue the attack, you're not sure which one. It's kind of hard to read. Usually Bly's pretty good at it though, so I'm not sure where he got messed up and just maybe read something incorrectly, or Elazer just really knew Bly too well and called all the shots. But that just ended kind of womp womp. Oh, well.
Womp womp. Well, the second map is going to be Abyssal Reef, and I guess before we get into this, just to explain to the audience really quick, I know that a lot of our formats bounce around all over the place. The Corsair Cup, for example, has set maps. The Elima League has set maps. But this is a veto-style tournament, so these guys don't get a loser's pick advantage. It is whoever picked this map, they picked it before the first game was even played.
Yeah. They do, a fair system of coin flip and then choosing A or B. So, as fair as it can be. This would have been a Lasers map pick. Yeah, it would have been.
Ooh. We'll see if that hurts Bly or not. He's, of course, down already in the series. So we'll see how he does here in game 2. Spawning in the bottom right on this underwater map. It's the orange Zerg player, Team Experts Bly.
In the top left, as the blue Zerg, he is Elazer. Looks like we got bets up and running.
We will
That's
for this
cool.
one.
Okay, well, hopefully the mods actually start to trickle in. They have no excuse. They're mostly Europeans.
It's early in the morning.
No, it's not. It's well into the afternoon.
Oh yeah, I guess 'cause most of our mods are European.
Yeah, and in fact, for them, it's kind of even the evening, right?
Yeah, so it's even more shame on them.
Exactly. I don't know if you saw my tweet, speaking of tweets, I suppose, about the weather that I've been having in Virginia.
Zombie Grub.
It's crazy.
I know that normally the weather is a very boring topic, but I feel like the weather I've been having is worth discussing.
Well, yeah, you've been having a snowstorm. I mean, that's whatever, man. But it's, okay, I don't know if you'll quite understand this, or the other, like, non-Americans, but it's 66 degrees right now, which is, like, perfect weather. It's, like, slightly a couple degrees below, like, room temperature, right? Like, it's perfect. You know, sun's out, light breeze, perfect
Sun's out,
spring
guns
weather.
out.
Tomorrow, it's supposed to snow, and I don't understand how that happens.
Well, so that's exactly what happened to me, though. The other day we were casting, I think it was like the BTSL or something, and I go to sleep at 7 a.m. and it's bright and sunny. I'm planning to go to Subway and walk there when I wake up. I wake up 7 hours later, and the world is covered in 5 inches of snow. It was insane. It was I felt like a Rip Van Winkle. But yeah, for those who don't know, Vancouver actually, YVR Airport was actually redirecting flights to Seattle because there's been thunderstorms with the snowstorms. And I will say it was really cool flying from San Jose, which was not warm and sunny, but like actually wet and rainy. But flying from there to Seattle to Vancouver, you could just gradually see where the snow starts. And it's kind of like, because you're 50,000 or 10,000 feet in the air, it looks so cool seeing all of that blanketed across the entire land. I wish I could have taken some pictures, actually.
You're too busy talking with a very important person.
Oh, yeah, there's a fun story for downtime later. I'll be glad to share with everybody. But anyways, here in Abyssal Reef, we do see a couple of links popping out of Elazer. But this is still, there's drones coming out behind it. This isn't some weird early pool all in. But it is something where if Bly was a little bit stingy or even greedy, he could lose a couple of workers to these.
Well, just have 2 more lanes in the way, should be fine. They're both taking the thirds, and in a minute or 2, they'll make a good number of lings. Now, if Bly once again skips his Baneling Nest, that did contribute to early losses in the last game. It wasn't the determining factor, like 20 lings died and then it was GG, but certainly he took some nasty hits, lost a couple of queens, probably delayed his third hatch just a little bit, and it all kind of snowballs, right? But this time not gonna happen. Well, his queens get really aggressive. Damn.
By the way, we got almost 2-to-1 odds on the Elazer versus Bly here. 1,500 Partoofs bet on the Elazer, 606 on Bly to win game number 2.
Alright. Okay. Up speed's a little bit faster. Well,
I mean, Elazer's certainly got some momentum in the series. I wouldn't count Bly out just yet, but they both are playing pretty similar this game. Both have a decent amount of lings currently on the map. Bly with a little bit more, of course. Both getting Roach Warrens at very similar timings, and both, most importantly, have skipped over the Baneling Nest. This is going to be huge for the Roaches that fight afterwards, because normally the perfect scenario is if your opponent's got a lot of lings, you've got like 2 Banelings with your Roaches to just wash off their lings with. But now they're actually going to fight, and there'll be a lot more micro because of it if the lings survive to the second stage of the game. But it's going to be all about these Roaches going forward.
Elazer tried to get around a little bit, but they're really just trading out lings. Bly goes for drones, Elazer goes for roaches. So Bly will have a bit of a boost there. See how much they commit to army. Bly's still looking for opportunities, though. I mean, as long as you don't see Banelings, you can continue to try and poke and prod. Ideally, you never get surrounded with your own speedlings.
Yeah, that looked like for a moment he could have got surrounded in the hatchery, but I guess just didn't really want to risk it. I think damage to the base wouldn't be bad, but keeping his lings alive is certainly better. I love, by the way, that it is non-skinned roaches versus skinned roaches, so not only is it going to be easier to differentiate in the fight, but it's going to look cooler too.
Yeah. Once again, just finding each other on the paths. I can imagine Abyssal Reef is kind of obnoxious for ZvZ with these speedy units and so many pathways, but they've been doing a good job keeping track of each other. But Elazer didn't stop making army units, so it's kind of almost a role reversal of last game, except that Elazer, well, Bly just didn't have like some increase of army supply and a much faster layer like Elazer did last game. They're both pretty even, and Elazer could just try and control. I don't know about controlling this ramp. It is a ramp after all, but maybe going to that third base and trying to control that, and then drone up behind as he does need to get a couple more drones. But Bly actually pushes down the ramp, which
That's
is a little bit
surprising,
weird.
but this This is going to work out a little bit better with Defender's advantage, especially because his units will get here faster. We got corpses flying every which way, but perhaps overextending. He starts falling back. He can, of course, plug the hole for a little bit, but these lings out of Elazer are doing great work on top of Bly's roaches.
I don't believe Bly just lost the game, but I do think he made a severe misstep trying to go down the ramp like that. I mean, I don't think he expected like another handful of lings off to the left, or just Elazer saving the Ravager. But that's that's a pretty big deal. He tries to make as many roaches as possible before it dies, but he's got to spend money remaking that. His lings are all dead, and
this is a mistake. Bottom of the ramp here. You don't have the roach support. You don't have the reinforcements coming. He's got to fight in his choke, especially because it's against lings. Forget the concave of the roaches for just a second. Even the queens have to dodge those corrosive piles.
Well, Elazer was droning behind this instead of reinforcing. If he was reinforcing, maybe he does win the game, especially if a couple lings into the third base, something like that. But he does still have a drone lead, which will eventually give him a straight-up lead in the game. And, well, Bly doesn't have a Roachborn, so he's not really super scary with this counter attack.
Yeah, but it is at least trading out for some of the more... wow, that Ravager Corpse went to the moon. More units in the middle of the map. So it's unfortunate that this doesn't work out so great for Bly, because regardless of what he lost versus what he has, he doesn't have workers behind us like Elazer does. And that, for me, feels very similar to watching game number 1. Because Elazer didn't get up that ramp to the roach line, or to the mineral line with his roaches. Bly just had to cut workers much earlier, so he's making a lot more army, and that should have given him a better fight, Defender's advantage on top of it, but instead, he ends up falling behind.
Yeah. Really just still questioning that move down a ramp. It's like the smallest choke possible, too. The rocks aren't even broken, but I don't know. Elazer has a significant lead in this game, and Bly is very much so missing his timing to win. You know, the macro game is not going to favor him at all, but having to wait for a Roach Warren meant that he mostly was just making lings, which aren't necessarily bad. Like, no one's got upgrades yet. And they could get a nice surround or maybe slip past to the main base or something like that. But his army is not going to stand up to Elazer once Elazer gets out of the supply block and makes a couple more rounds of roaches, which he does still have time to do. Especially if he just plugs the hole against the lings.
Well, picking up some overlords on the way down the middle of the map is cool, but Bly's actually still the one supply block. Feels bad. If this ramp didn't have these rocks on it, this would be a great place to take a fight, but unfortunately they do, so he's kind of got to consider either actually, this works. He distracts on the left side and pushes through the rocks, so Elazer doesn't have the concave to meet him at the top of this. The corrosive piles land on top of the eggs, he kills some of the reinforcements, and now Elazer has to once again push through another choke to get to his own natural.
Oh, wow, he took a couple of corrosive biles right there, and that's pretty important, but Bly is only on lings and ravagers, so his army's dying pretty quickly. The Ling couldn't really get us around. Some of them are still hanging with the drones, and he does bring the drone count down, but not even to even.
Yeah, the Lings actually did really great towards the end there, but you're right, that's the problem. Like, a lot of this was just not good enough damage. It was pretty good, but not good enough. 32 to 27 drones isn't devastating, but it's the fact that Elazer still has roaches and ravagers that he can now counter with, and Bly just lost all of his. He made 20 Lings, he's got 9 roaches on the way. Maybe he hopes to bring Elazer back home, or maybe he hopes for some sort of crazy-ass Zerg base trade, but Elazer's got the better standing army. There's no question about it.
Yeah, this is a pretty good attack, and it might bring Elazer back. I mean, he's going to be finally brought down to even on the drone counts. It might even lose the third base, and that's going to give Bly time to make roaches, too. Bly might have a comeback potential with this.
Yeah, I mean, Elazer, as we saw for a moment there in the middle of the map, was considering bringing everything home. Instead, he just uses the Lings, and it looks like it's good enough. Elazer now down to 14 drones. If Bly can find a way to just hold on defensively, he will be in such a good spot. Yeah,
well, he would win. Elazer's down to 14 drones. I don't think he comes back from that, so making nothing but army units, a couple more Ravagers, a couple more Lings is probably the way to go.
That's the thing, though, right? It's already 68 supply to the 47 when it comes to pure army. So I think Bly is actually in a pretty dangerous spot still. This is tough for him. Defender's advantage, I don't know if it'll be enough. We're going to find out, though. Lings have fully surrounded the Roach Ravager army from Bly, so Elazer just storms on in. And this is not looking good for our Orange Zerg players. Drones are getting pulled. Desperation.
Yeah. The Queens were there for a couple of transfuses. That wouldn't have been too bad, but man, he just took all those corrosive bile shots. That ended up going perfect. Well, Bly almost had a shot there. That was a pretty good Ling run by, but his army could not stand up, and that is going to be game. Bly might stick around a little bit longer. Oh, nope, he actually GG's.
GG.
GF.
All right, so Elazer is going to take the first best of 3 of the day. It also makes us wicked far ahead of schedule, which is okay. It's fine. It's all good. Actually, we do have something kind of cool we can talk about for Ting, by the way. So I knew this was coming out. It just got tweeted. I hope you guys will check it out. I'll retweet it for easy access. But Jesse did a big interview with Neeb, and in the past, Neeb has not given more than like a sentence for answers, and his interviews haven't been too thorough. But this one actually has some pretty detailed answers and like paragraph-long responses. So if you guys are interested in Ting, that's all the more reason to check it out. But if you're a big fan of Neeb, you'll actually get a little bit more insight to who Neeb is, and I think that's kind of cool. That being said, though, we are going to take a break, and we'll probably take a little bit of a longer break than you guys might expect. Again, we're experimenting with formats because the concern was when we're seeing on average 20 to sometimes variably 40-minute like ZVPs or like TVZs, we thought for sure best of fives would be too long. But if we go through this entire round of 32, I find that every group matchup is just way too short, and these are like 3-hour less broadcasts. We will absolutely consider changing the round of 16 to best of fives, but just be aware that we are going to be keeping best of threes as the standard for the entire round of 32.
Yeah.
Also, I guess before we duck away for the ads, thank you to Xanthra60 for the 19-month resub, Ronan Dude for the 19-month resub, and then Razik just now for 2 months. Also, many of you messaged us over the last couple of days about Partoofs and getting your real life ones. The answer to that was a little bit delayed because I was traveling to Corsair, as I had mentioned, and checking out the venues and just constantly not having internet access, basically. So those were all answered this morning. So check your inboxes, fill out those forums, please, please, pretty please, so that when you figure you're probably going to send out the next batch of Partoofs, end of the month?
It's always the end of the month.
Yeah, so probably by the end of the month, you'll get your next set sent out. But I love, too, before you, again, sorry, I'm not trying to buy too much time here, but I love when you guys get your Partoofs and you tweet us pictures of them. I mean, we know what the Partoof looks like. It doesn't change much. It's the same coin everybody gets, but it's really awesome getting to see your desktop backgrounds and people tweet them like in front of their pets. Like, I love when you guys tweet us pictures of your Partoofs. So as you get them, keep them coming. But I think that's enough stalling. Let's head to the first sponsored break of the day.
All right, then. Let's do this right. It's been a while. Hopefully this doesn't blow your eardrums out. See you guys.